Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Koplovich, and I'm the chair of the Edmonton Jewish Film Festival. Please excuse me, I'm going to read my remarks because I've got a lot of names here and I don't want to forget anything. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to today's talk. Before we begin, I would like to thank all of the many sponsors and donors who made the film festival possible. We are very grateful for their support. I extend special thanks to the sponsor of Neighbours, Catherine Miller, Len Dolgoy and family, Francie Ratner, Mark Dolgoy and family, and the Edmonton Downtown Business Association. The Edmonton Jewish Film Festival wishes to respectfully acknowledge that our festival is held on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional gathering place for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota Sioux, Iroquois, Dene, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, and Anishinaabe, Inuit, and many others whose histories, languages, and cultures continue to influence our vibrant community. A few other quick points before we get started. Your sound is muted. Please keep it off so stray sounds won't disturb the speaker. We are recording the session, so remember you may be on camera. Of course, you can choose to mute your picture too. Our speaker will speak for about 35 minutes and then we will have a Q&A. You can put your questions in the chat, directing them to our moderator, Sheba Birhanu, during the talk, if you like, and we will address them at the end. Our special guest tonight is Mano Kahlil, director of Neighbours, the exceptional film that screened yesterday at our festival. Mr. Khalil was born in Syrian Kurdistan in 1964. He studied history and law at the University of Damascus. In the mid-80s, when many of his friends were increasingly involved in the Kurdish freedom movement, he chose to follow his passion and study film. He moved to what was then Czechoslovakia to pursue film studies and then worked for Slovakian television until 1996, when he moved to Switzerland, where he consolidated his career as a documentary director, making many acclaimed films. In 2021, he founded his production company, Frame Film. In 2021, his film Neighbours premiered at the Locarno Film Festival. Since its premiere, it has become a huge favorite, opening Jewish film festivals around North America, including our own last night. Moderating today's discussion is Sheba Birhanu, Associate Director, Partnerships for CIJA, the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, which is the advocacy partner of the Jewish Federation of Edmonton. Sheba is a Canadian-Ethiopian Jewish activist. She focuses on human rights, safety, and equity in technology. Her work in partnerships facilitates cultural, religious, and political collaboration in combating anti-Semitism and hate. And now I will turn the floor over to Sheba to begin our discussion.
Thanks, Sam. Hello, everyone, and hello, Manu. Thank you for being here with us today. I want to start off by asking, how did you come up with the idea for the film Neighbours?
You're asking me, Sheba, yes?
Yes.
Just a small correction, what Sam said. I studied in Czechoslovakia, that's true. Then I came to Switzerland. 2012, I made a production company, Frame Film, and I made some fiction movie too, while I'm making a documentary, but the known was documentary movies. I was, as Sam said too, I was born in Syrian part of Kurdistan, and I studied in 80s law and history in Damascus University, but somehow I didn't like it. I wanted to say something. I wanted to tell a story. I discovered cinema when I was a small child in Kamishli in our city, and I loved this world of darkness, and you see this nice green, and in our place were dry and summer was very hot, and you can see a new world, something. Imagination was very nice for me. And in 80s, when I studied 6 years in the university, and then I decided to study film. I said, filmmaking now is the issue. I can realize myself. I can realize my dreams. It was behind, of course, a political thought about Kurdish people, to do something for these people. We never saw name of Kurdistan in a movie. We never saw a word in a TV or on cinema. And then I decided 1986 to go to Czechoslovakia. That time was Czechoslovakia one country, to study films. And then I made the school. I was really one of 5 students who applied. From 150 students, they choose 5, and I was one of these 5. I was really very happy to get this school and to know and learn the cinema in Czechoslovakia, and to know many this great film directors in Czechoslovakia, like Menzel, like Chytilova, like Parnitsky, like Hanak, and all these big names in Czechoslovakia, and to see all these movies which they did in this country.
Amazing. So when did you begin writing the script for this film?
While I was studying in Czechoslovakia, I wrote some scene of the movie, of this movie, what we saw it yesterday, or you saw it yesterday. Some scene of the movie were already written when I was a student, not as a script, but some scene in other constellation and other things. And then I think 25 years ago, when I finished my school, somehow I said, now it's time to start make my movie, which is my heart thing. I did many movies. All the movies are my children, I say all the time. But this one is special. This is one, you know. And then I wrote the movie. Of course, I was developing it. I was making it, you know, updating the script like really like a program on computer, let's we say. I was developing myself here in Switzerland when I came here, and the Middle East Kurdish people was developing themselves, and I was changing all the time scenes of this movie. And of course, why so long? It's very easy. It's very simple to tell it why so long, because I had to leave my country as a Kurd. I had no chance to make movies in Syria. No way to talk about a people who officially don't exist. You know, and the logic of this government, the dictator all the time was saying there's no Kurds in this country. And we had no Ministry of Culture or institution where they support us, a filmmaker, to make movies. And that way, when I went away from Syria and I came to Switzerland, you know how the situation is when you are a refugee. You are coming, you are just a number, and you have to fight, you have to invest a huge energy somewhere to change yourself from a number, from a just refugee number, to a human being. And to come from human being to a filmmaker, this is you know, other troubles, this is other problem. And that's why first time when I wanted to make a movie here, I contacted somebody from Swiss television, from the Italian part of Switzerland. And I talked to him that I'm living now 3 years in a refugee house, you know, with hundreds of other refugees, and I'm a filmmaker, and I made many movies until now, and just I need a camera. He was just laughing to me and told me that you are making illusion. You will never make a movies here. There is so many Swiss film directors, they have no jobs, and you as a refugee coming in this country, and you think you are making a movies. You know, he just you know, he shot me something like this, and I came back, and that time I started to make a movie which called Triumph of Iron. It was a short movie made by myself about myself in this refugee house. Really, it was 33 minutes. I paid 66 Swiss francs, which is $66, something like this. And the movie was nominated for Swiss Film Award as a best short movie in Switzerland. Of course, I started to make other movies. And as Sam said, I made many documentary movies because it was very easy to make these documentary movies. I didn't need for a movie 3-4 millions to invest them in the fiction movie. Who will give me 3 millions, you know, or 4 millions Swiss francs to make a movie? Until I made some success documentary like Our Garden of Eden, which is one of the most successful movie in Switzerland is until now. And then I made other movie, The Beekeeper, which was really a very successful movie, and made The Swallow, a fiction movie. Then came the time 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and they said, now it's time. Those who will who's going to give me money, maybe they believe that he is a filmmaker, not X number, X human being, and now he's a filmmaker too. And that's why it took a lot of time, until I start to release this movie. And then everything went well. And 25 years, really, it was like a part of my body. I was holding this script with me. I was going from one room to the other one, from one house to the other, from one canton in Switzerland to the other canton, and take this script with me. But I never gave up. It was my dream to make this movie because, yeah, it's a kind of passion, passion. It's a passion. It's yeah.
You can see that dedication from the scene selection to the cast selection. I have to say that Cheryl, played by Khalil, he did an outstanding job. How did you go about selecting the cast?
It was from the beginning very important for me to. First, I have to say I am sorry for my English. Really, I am really sorry for that. I hope you understand me.
Please don't apologize.
So many languages: Czech, Slovak, Kurdish. I had to study Arabic, and then Italiano, then German now here, and English made this a little bit difficult. It was amazing. For me from the beginning. It was very important to bring my actors who knows the situation, who have the same feeling somehow. And that was very important, to bring people who is speaking the same dialect, for example, Kurmanji dialect, Kurdish, or Assyrian Arabic dialect. And that's why I brought actor like Jai Abdo, who is living in Los Angeles, a Syrian refugee, a very famous actor who left Syria 9 years ago and went to United States, and now he's living there. He knows Syria, he knows the situation. And the other, Jalal Tawil, who played the teacher, Mazen Natour, who played the custodian, or those people, they came and they brought something from their own story to the movie. And for me, it was very important to have a small child who is clever, every child is clever, of course, but to have somebody clever, to have my Shero. I was looking for my Shero, and this is now, maybe you will not believe it, but really it happened. We made first time casting in Iraqi Kurdistan, and refugee camp of Kurdish people, and we casted about 200 children. We came to Switzerland, and 1 month long we were looking at these kids and trying to find somebody who was really, he was my Shero. And the casting was very, very easy. Yeah, they had to say a good day, Roj Bash in Kurdish, which means good day, and standing in front of the camera once they are sad, happy, and angry. I didn't find my Shero. We made in Europe the second round of casting. Again, I didn't find, and then came the idea. Now I had to cast somebody from Kamishli, from Rojava, the Kurdistan area, which is independent now in Syria. And there I had 4 assistants who started to cast small children between 5 and 6.5, something like this. Then they sent me the videos. I came here in Switzerland. I just looked at these videos, and once came a small child, 5 years old, in front of the camera, telling me good day in 3 different ways, perfect, like a Hollywood star. I said, this is very, 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 very good. He's very, very good. And second time, third time, I look at him. I loved this face. I loved this child who's talking in front of the camera without any. He's not afraid. Just telling it. Then I contacted my assistant in Kurdistan. I told him, please send me the information about this child, this one. I made a screenshot, and I want to talk to his family. And he told me, he's your grandnephew. And that was a surprising thing. My grandnephew, then I talked to him at evening, to the family. And he was, small, was 5 years, telling me, uncle, you are going to make a movie. I want to play in the movie. I never saw him. When I went away from Syria, his father was 2 years old. Of course, I have a big family, and I don't know how many kids they have, and the photos of kids and video, really, I didn't know. And then I went to Iraqi Kurdistan. I met him. I invited them. I met him. I just casted him again, and he was my child. He was my hero, and he was really doing this work perfectly, like I said, like a super professional artist. And you know, there is other story to tell it. This is how I am working with my actors. For example, I was in Sao Paulo in Brazil. By the chance, a lady, she was looking at the movie. When we finished, she came to me and she started talking to me. She was very, very lovely. She was active. And then we went to eat something, and she was there. I asked the director of the festival, who is this lady? And she told me, oh, she's a very famous Brazilian actress, Tuna Dweck, her name. And then I talked to her. I said, what is about you? And she told me, my family, my father and mother, they came from Aleppo, from Syria, as a refugee to Brazil 60 years ago. They are Syrian Jewish people. And I am actress. Oh, she invited me to her theater. She was playing in a theater in Sao Paulo, Tuca Theater. I went there. She was playing the main role in this theater. I loved how she's playing. She finished the theater. After the theater, I told her, my dear Tuna, you will play in my movie. Of course, she didn't believe it. After 3 weeks, I sent her the script, and Tuna Drake came to Kurdistan and played actually the role of her mother, the mother which lived Aleppo 60 years ago. She had to leave, and this is when she came to Kurdistan and she was playing. She was telling this dialogue. She was feeling that it's her story because it was her story somehow. Even she was born in Sao Paulo, you know, and that was for me very important. Until now, it's very important. There's people who was working with me that they bring something from themselves, you know, to this work. I say all the time, filmmaking for me, it's not job giving and job taking. If you don't have a passion, please go and sell tomato in the market and don't make movies. If you don't like this job, do something else, you know. And I love it. I love this work, and really I am burning myself with this work because I love it, because I believe that through the art we can change something. We can change something through the art.
Yes.
Through this humanism which we are telling about it, you know. Of course, I'm not showing myself like a prophet telling people do this and don't do that. If you do this, you go to the paradise. If you do this, you will go to the hell. No, it's not my job. I'm just telling the story, and I say, friends, just look at this. If you like it, I will be happy. If you don't like it, I'm going to make a new movie.
That's great. I also want to say that I think it's really interesting that you chose to focus on children and child's play as a way to kind of explore the political climate. I wanted to ask actually about Shara and the Jewish family, the Jewish neighbors that you had. Can you tell us more about the Jews in your village when you were growing up?
You know, in Syria, we had until 1990s, we had about 70,000 Syrian Jewish people. They were living mostly in Damascus, Aleppo, the capital city Damascus, and the biggest city Aleppo, and in Kamishli and some villages around Kamishli. Of course, they had a perfect relationship with their friends, with their other people from other religions. There was no problems until the dictator of Assad came with his Ba'ath party, which is the ideology. It's a national socialistic from the German Nazi took it, and they start teaching hate against everything what Jewish is. But of course, we as a Kurdish people, just I was talking about myself, we knew that this regime is against not only Jewish people, against us too, because he forbids our language. The teacher was hitting us when we were speaking Kurdish, and we knew that this hate is not only for those but for us too, and that's why we were together. We were solidar. We were helping one each other somehow, you know. Of course, the Jewish people was very afraid. They were afraid from everything. They were afraid from their own shadow when they were walking, you know, from this oppression. And in Kamishli itself, there was a family. My sister was a neighbor, exactly neighbor and she was going every Shabbat to light the light and to warm the food for them, and this nice neighborhood, this was friendship. This was all the time there until this regime, until with its nationalismus, with its fascismus, destroyed everything. He destroyed even the country. At the end, not only the Kurds and Jewish were they were the victims. Now the Arabs themselves are victims because he destroyed everything in this country, exactly like Saddam Hussein in Iraq too.
We see that the school is used kind of as a tool to everything you just described. Would you say that the general population kind of knew what was going on in these schools, and did they call it indoctrination? Did they see it that way?
It was exactly like this. Once somebody asked me, is it true that in the time of Assad, the kids were swearing with their right hand like in Nazi Germany? Yes, until now it's going on. Until now, in Syrian schools, if you just look at the YouTube, you can see there in all party meetings of Baath Party and all army celebration, or in schools morning, they are saluting this Hitler's Nazi solution. It was a kind of killing the will in these people, because no dictator in this world wants people to be free. When you are free, you will not have a dictator. When you have when you understand the democracy and the human rights, you will not have a dictator as a president. There is no place for dictators in this society. As far as you live in slavery, as a slave, the dictator can rule you. And that's why the Assad and his son now, they use exactly, we are going to leave these people in darkness, to have them as a slave for us, to rule them. And it was like this working. It's really terrible to know that the teacher was hitting a small child who was speaking Kurdish, for example. How you can here in Switzerland, I was once, and I talked to young people. I said, look, here in Switzerland, you have a Swiss banknotes and you have 4 languages: German, Italian, French, Retto-Romansch. And this banknote. And can you imagine that somebody coming to the German-speaking children and saying, now you have to speak only French, otherwise you'll be heated. And it's like this, it's working until now. In Turkey, there is 20 million Kurds. It's forbidden to speak Kurdish, and everywhere where it's official, it's forbidden. In the army, in the schools, everywhere where something with the government is forbidden. One year, I think something like this, 1 year ago, they just in Ankara, they killed a small young man about 17 because he was listening to Kurdish music in his iPhone. And this is coming not from that we are bad. We are not bad. We are learning to be bad. And this regime was teaching people how to hate and to be bad. How can you imagine, for example, in that? Of course, I never say all. I just say some, and some still in the mind of the Arab countries. Many times, you can read, you can listen. If somebody wants to call somebody names and say you are bad, you are killer, you are murderer, they say you are like a Jew. Can you imagine in 21st century that somebody is teaching these people that Jewish are bad? They are bad, they are killer, they are murderer, they kill small children. Until now, until 21st century, it's not about a small anti-Semitism. The Arabs are Semite too, at the end. But this teaching how to hate, it's working still. Still, it's today it's working. And that's why it was very important for me to show this school, to show small children, because small children, they are forming themselves, and you have to form them somehow, teaching them, educate them. And if you educate them in this kind of education, that what I had, then you say goodbye for the humanity. For our luck, we had something better. We had this anti-poison, which we were getting it from our families, from our mother, from father. We knew that there is 2 worlds: the world of the school, which is hateful. And this is our world when we were frying ourselves from this 6 hours from the restaurants coming at home. We knew that now we are free. Now what mother and father telling us, it's the truth, you know. And that was this the balance in our lives. But unfortunately, there is money. Until now in this world, they had no this balance. They had no this anti-poison. And those children, 40 years ago, who was cutting the puppets, head of puppets, today they are cutting a head of, I'm sorry to say this, their neighbors, journalists, other people, you know. Because when the small children learn how to cut a head of puppet, when they will grow up, they want to do something more than a puppet, you know. And this is unfortunately is working now in this world, Iraq, Syria, and you know, and all this country which this nationalism, which is fascism, was teaching in these schools.
There's a really beautiful scene where Shero and his grandfather, his grandfather's describing this borderless time, points to the landscape, and he tells him about this time. Were these the kind of stories that you heard growing up?
Yeah, it's like this. And this border, it was in front of our eyes, by the way, because my mother, actually, she's Kurd from Kurdistan, Turkey. My father from Syrian part of Kurdistan. And this border, the same, this barbed wires, they were between us. And I remember first time when I met my uncles and aunts, it was the same situation, exactly the same, maybe more worse. I was trying here to be more human, to show this soldier a little bit humanistic, more, but it was the same. We were waiting in this day because once a year we had a chance to meet our relatives from the other side of the border for 20 minutes, and came my uncle and just saw them, and they kissed me between these barbed wires, really between them, they kissed me. And this border is still there. You know, it's still there. Our chicken are going from one side to the other, but we cannot go. Our birds is flying through this because our people are grating on each other the same language through this stupid border. Kurdish people here and Kurdish people here, and between us there's a this guns and soldiers who don't understand Kurdish, and they forbid us to speak Kurdish because they don't understand it. The Arab don't understand Kurdish, and the Turks don't understand Kurdish too. And because of that, they want us to speak their language. But it's not working. It's not working. It's like the same, like the palm tree. It's you can do whatever you want, but you cannot plant a palm tree in the North Pole. No way. You cannot bring a penguin from North Pole to plant it in Saudi Arabia in the desert. The penguin will explode after 5 minutes. You cannot go. You cannot do it. You know, and this is why I say, for Turkey and all these countries which occupied Kurdish people, I say, even thousands of years, you can do whatever you want with Kurdish people. You can put them in the prison, but you will never kill the will of freedom with these people. No way. And that's why I did this movie too, because I want to. I'm against all violences in this world, but I am with the right of people. They have to defend themselves, like in Ukraine now, what the Russians are doing. They have to defend themselves, to defend their existence, their rights, their freedom. Well, oh, I'm sorry, I talked too much.
No, I loved watching Wahid Tanif, the teacher, try and plant a tree, and it was a beautiful metaphor. I just want to ask, what was the initial response to the film, and was the reaction different in different places?
We saw the movie, and I think until now it's more than 120 film festivals around the world. We get, I think, 22 awards until now. I was in Korea with the movie, and what's interesting that the reaction of the people is the same. In Korea, the same. Some people was telling me, we have the same border. Our brother in North Korea, they have the same dictatorship. And I see that these feelings is working. We were in Poland, the same, in Czech Republic, and here in Switzerland. 2 days ago from Italy, we get these 3 prizes. I was in the United States, in New York. Now, after two weeks, I'm going to Toronto Jewish Film Festival, by the way, 4 weeks, 4 weeks. And tomorrow I'm going to Amsterdam, and I see how the people are reacting. But one thing, I was in Saudi Arabia with the movie too. Saudi Arabia, they have the first ever made film festival, and they invited me in the competition. And I said, this is very important to show this movie there. And it was very nice. I saw how the people reacted, how they loved the movie, how they liked it. Of course, there was 2, 3 voices who's thinking that it's a taboo to say there's a good Jew in this world, and or Kurd, because yeah, of course there is, but I know how. But even we win the script award in Jeddah Film Festival, you know, the first film festival in this country. And I see we are going to the cinema in some Arab country too. We are going to the cinema in Israel too. And now we are sharing one thing between this country, between these 2 worlds. Our Neighbours is going to be shown in Israel and going to be shown in Arab countries too. And this is nice, you know, yeah.
Did you anticipate the reception it would receive from the Jewish community?
Here we show it 3, 4 times, I think, here in Switzerland. Now we are invited again next month in Zurich. There is a Jewish community in Zurich. They are going to show the movie. They show it here in Bern too, and of course they like it. They love it. In New York came 3 families from Jewish family from Syria. They came to see the movie, and they were really touched with the story. Of course, it's a fiction movie, but they were touched and they liked it very much. Yeah.
It's amazing. And has your family seen the film?
Yes, yeah, they're of course. And we are invited in Kurdistan next 3 months. There is a film festival in Duhok, in Iraqi Kurdistan. We will show it there, and I'm really very, very, very happy to. I will bring all my people, all my kids from refugee camp, because the kids in the school, they are from refugee camp, by the way. And all the time in social media, they are writing to me when the movie will be shown, and they are waiting. And of course, in social media, it's talking much about the movie. But I have to say something small. It's very interesting. We have a national day. It's 21 of March, Nowruz called, New Day in the Kurdish. You know, all over the world, the Kurds are celebrating 21st of March. And this year, Kurdish people is going outside, you know, in the fields and dancing and celebrating all the day, music, and then at evening they are coming back. And this year I saw in 2 or 3 or 4 places, they were letting balloons in the sky. For the first time in the Kurdish history, they brought this gas, you know, you have to have helium gas to leave it. And they were putting hundreds of balloons together, yellow, green, red, and living in the sky, because they saw the trailer of the movie and they know that this is something we can do it too, and now they are doing it.
That's so
I don't know if the Turkish policies or Syrian policies, Iranian policies will start to shoot the balloon. I believe they will do it.
Well, it's lovely when seeing Cheryl kind of do it and run away. Such a cute kid. I just want to ask one more question about language. You mentioned it a lot. Like, what role did language play in the film for you?
You mean the language of the actors, or how?
Yes, the languages that were spoken, like spoken by the neighbors, spoken by the children, and the language that they were forced to learn. Arabic.
Exactly. Yeah. For my luck, you know, I understand Arabic. All this dialect in Arabic world, I understand it. I was enforced to learn it. I understand Kurdish too, and it was very nice that we shared these languages, because our Arab actors like Jai Abdo, Jalal, the teacher, you know, custodian, or Nahum, the neighbor, they are Arabs. They don't speak Kurdish, or the grandmother. She was from Saudi Arabia. She's a Syrian actress from Saudi Arabia. She didn't know anything about Kurdish, and they learned it somehow. And me, I knew that Syrian dialect, it was very important to have this dialect, the original thing, you know. And I was with my crew, they were coming from all over the world. There was very, very little Kurdish, only the Kurdish local people was working, you know, behind the scenes, like assistants or such like this. But the main crew, like a camera director of photography or the sound maker or all this, they didn't understand anything. What is going on in front of the camera? Of course, they had their script, but they didn't know what is going on. And that's the help that I was controlling everything, of course. And I was, for example, Tuna, who played the role of Rosa in the movie, in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, she had two friends who, one of them was speaking Kurdish and the other was speaking Syrian Arabic, who was, you know, teaching her these months to learn these dialogues, which was, and she did it very well. Really, it's absolutely good. And without any, I'm not afraid to show the movie everywhere because everybody will understand. Yes, the Syrian Jewish people, they were speaking sometime Hebrew at home, you know, the Orientalic Hebrew, but they were speaking Arabic. Those who were speaking, living between Kurdish people, they were speaking Kurdish too. But all the time, you had the accent of these people that they are not clean Kurds or clean Arabs, you know. And we did it like this, and it's worked very well. It was really, yeah.
Amazing. Well, I want to open up the floor to questions now. And I actually have a question here that is about the last thing we just spoke about, which was language. This is a question from Suzanne. She said that she found it interesting that the Jewish family spoke Hebrew at home. Where was conversational Hebrew learned?
Actually, it's the Syrian Jewish people, they were speaking Arabic together in Damascus, for example, or in Aleppo. And sometime when they had something very, very important to say between one each other, they were speaking Hebrew together. But actually, they were speaking Arabic. Even, for example, Tuna Dvet, she was born in Brazil. She is Brazilian actress, but she speaks little Arabic because she learned from her father and mother in Brazil, you know. And I have some friends now in Manhattan and Syrian Jewish. We are communicating together in Arabic, and they speak Arabic like sometimes better than Arabs themselves, because they are children of this country. You know, the Syria belong to them, like belong to me, like belong to any Arabs. Because, you know, if somebody divide us to religions and groups, but we say Syria is our Syria. If I'm a Kurd, I'm a part of Kurdistan, but Syria itself is our country. And when I'm talking to Maurice, a friend of mine, we are sharing the same feeling. You say our country, you know. Yeah.
Beautiful. Sam asks, where was principal filming done?
Where?
Where was the principal filming done?
You know, I was really, my dream was to shoot the movie in Kurdistan, Syrian, and the place where I was born, the place which I know, but unfortunately, when we started the production, we heard that Trump is taking a part of American soldiers from Rojava, from Syrian Kurdistan, and Turkish regime was starting attacking the area, and it was impossible to go there. The security of our crew, from people, was very important for me. That's why we decided to find a small village in Iraqi Kurdistan near to the border to a Kurdish part of Syria, and we rebuild the small village. These houses, we build them, by the way, and we plant the garden in these houses some half a year, you know, before. Of course, we had to pay more. We had to do more. We had to bring all this accessoire from Syria, props, everything from Syria. With, you know, brought them to Iraqi Kurdistan to shoot them, because, you know, the bottle of water in Syria, it's not the same like in Iraqi Kurdistan, for example. And that's why we had to bring all these things from there here, and it was little bit expensive as we thought. But really, we find a place where it was 1-to-1. It's similar like the place where I had to shoot it in Syria too.
There aren't any more questions, but I have a few more that I want to ask about. There's something interesting that I noticed is that children's play, it goes from originally like playing with feces, and then it eventually turns into stabbing cats. Did the political climate affect children's play?
Definitely, definitely. It was my aim in this movie to show, before I told you that kids are unformed. We are forming them, like a small statue with terracotta, and we are putting them together. And one false moving will break something, or something we deform something in this small statue, doing it. And this what I wanted. It was very important for me to show these small children, with their village plays, and how it's changing to this aggressivity, how it's changing to this brutality. That was very, 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 very important for me to show it, because this teacher with his education starting to have a how do I say, I call it name on these kids are changing their behavior.
I have a question from Claire. Claire asks, where did the idea of releasing balloons come from?
The idea of, excuse me,
releasing the balloons.
It's absolutely, it's for my side, because many times I was thinking really to do this thing, to do it. I never did it, but many times I was thinking how it will be the reaction. Of course, I had no gas. I had no helium gas to leave the balloons fly, because balloon, if you put normal air, it will not fly, will stay here. But I was all the time thinking, I didn't knew that there is a helium somewhere. We can't have it. But to leave the balloons, how will be the reaction of this soldier, which is forbidding everything in Kurdistan, for example? These three colors until now in Kurdistan, Turkey is forbidden. A small child or a lady, she cannot have these three colors together, because they are symbolize the Kurdish flag. And that's why I said maybe it will be very funny if we have these three color and let them everywhere in Turkey. To make a war in these countries with balloons. How nice it could be. It's a perfect war. It's my war with balloons. I will let balloons, milliard of balloons from Ankara until the end of Iran, part of Kurdistan. I will just let balloons, and I will make them crazy. Maybe they will get crazy, I hope. With my balloons.
That's a great way to play. And my final question is, so Wahid Tanouf, the teacher, played by Jalal Al-Tawil, he presents common enemies: imperialism, Jews, the CIA. What do these enemies represent?
It's for them, of course. It's a kind to have an enemy, because without enemy, a dictator cannot live. A dictator need enemy. A dictator have to have to break this wheel of freedom by people saying, look, there is a dangerous, and I am who will save you, who will defend you against these monsters, And that's why the kids, of course, don't know what does it mean, imperialism, Zionism, Mossad, CIA, blah, blah. They don't know. They are thinking they are a small insect somehow, And with these empty phrases, they are ruling 60 years now in Syria and other Arab countries too. Yeah.
I have another question from Claire. She asks, what is the situation in the area where you grew up today? And do you still have family there?
If you could ask me 10 years ago, before the Syrian revolution, when it was a revolution at the beginning, I could tell you that it's impossible to have something Kurdish, because it was so controlled by the regime. They brought in 70s, they brought about 300,000 Arabs from the Syrian desert, and they planted them in Kurdish area to change the demography of Kurdistan. For Kurdish luck, when the Syrian revolution started, the Kurds, they ruled their territory, they liberate their territory, and they start fighting against ISIS with the help of coalition and United States. This whole area where the Kurds are now was under the control of Kurdish people with the help of United States and other coalition partners. But unfortunately, 2.5, 3 years ago, Trump took a part of soldier away, and the three big cities are occupied now by Erdogan and the ex-ISIS who is now working with him, and the Kurds are now controlling a part of Kurdish area, but without these 3 cities, which is occupied by Turkish and terrorist organizations, unfortunately. And for the first time, I was there after 25 years. For the first time, really, I came to this city, my city, Kamishli, and I saw everywhere 3 languages writing, Kurdish, Arabic, and Assyrian language, which you never saw with something like this. It was all the time Arabic, but now everybody was learning his own language. Assyrian people, Armenian people, Kurdish people, Arabic people, everybody is learning his own language in these schools. A kind of respect, a kind of democracy is building in this area. Of course, they don't want it. They hate it. From Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. They hate any oas, where freedom or democracy has blossomed. They don't want it. Yeah, and we don't know how it will be after some years. Who knows? Maybe the second Trump will come and he will push all the soldiers away from Syria, and he will leave us again in our fate, facing ISIS and facing Erdogans and others, unfortunately.
Thank you. Can you tell us if there was any truth in the reunion with Hannah, or was it pure fiction?
Which one? Sorry,
with Hannah. Was it real, the reunion with Hannah?
There is, of course, it's a fiction movie, but there is many stories. There is many stories, of course, happening. I didn't want to play, on this how they say, in this side, religion and Muslim and not Muslim and Yazidi and Jewish, and I didn't want to share this thing, because for me, they were human beings, and I put this story together. Just really as for the movie, just I put it. Of course, there was other stories. There was many stories like this, But as Hannah and Aram, it was only a fiction from.
Beautiful. Sam asks, at the end, the teacher actually seemed somewhat sympathetic. Was that intentional?
Yes. As before I mentioned, I'm in my work all the time. I don't try to be a judge, judging somebody, say you are good, you are bad, and telling he's the victim and he's I don't do it. But somehow, as audience, as people who was looking at the movie, they understand the teacher was punished 3 times. Once as who was totally believing in his party, that the party is coming, and the comrade from the party are coming, he's making fest, nothing happened, everything is going, and second time he was thinking he will change something in this world, bringing his palm against not working, trying to change these kids, nothing working, and he understand he was punished by himself, not by me. I didn't punish him as a filmmaker. I let him to be punished by himself. He came alone, and again he was standing alone and going away. And my 3 persons were sitting still, and still they were waiting other teacher maybe. They are still the same people. And that was very important, was to show this world, to show them that we are changing. I say all the time, we change. We human beings, we can change, We are learning to be bad. We can learn how to be good too. I hope.
I hope so too. I want to ask, if you were to give advice to a filmmaker who has the odds stacked against them, who wants to make a film about the political climate that they're in their own life, what advice would you give based on your experience?
Don't give up. don't give up. It's the, you know, the alpha and omega for everything. I just am telling to my family, for example, or friends or something like this. I say, you know, I didn't did many things, but as a number, as I said, I came to this country, Switzerland. Now I am sitting in my production company and I'm making movie. I did it from a number refugee to be a filmmaker, to be a, I don't know if I am success film director. I don't know, but my movie are very, very good coming in Switzerland. And I think many are looking at me that he's doing nice movies. When I'm walking in the street or I'm meeting some people, they are telling me this. And this is coming that you don't give up, that you are going through and what you are believing, you know. I come back again to the story. When I was in this refugee house in Ticino, this is the part of Italian part of Switzerland, and I'm sitting there, there was hundreds of young people coming from ex-Yugoslavia, Serbian, Croatian, you know, all religions from all over the world coming, sitting there. There was a big, huge conflicts every day, police coming every 2 days, and I was sitting there between them. I told you I went to the television. I was speaking to the redactor from television. I told him, and then I met him. I said, I'm going to make a movie. I need only a camera for that. And he told me, it's illusion. You will never make a movie because there's so many film directors in Switzerland, they have no job. And when I came back from this meeting, to tell you the truth now, I will be absolutely open. I just drank 4 bottles of wine. I said, this is the end. Finished. You will never make a movie. You will work in the restaurant, you will wash dishes all your life. But after 3 days, I just sit down. I said, I am going to make a movie. I borrow a small camera that time, and I was shooting with remote control. I was shooting myself with remote control. I was the actor in my short movie Triumph of Iron. We show it to the festival, Solothurn Film Day, which is Swiss National Film Festival is. We get a prize there and was nominated for Swiss Film Award as best short movie in Switzerland. And that's why I say that you don't give up, that you believe in what you are doing. And if you believe in that, what you are doing, if you love what you are doing and you do what you are loving, then everything is fine.
Beautiful. I think I speak for many when I say thank you for not giving up and thank you for telling this story, because it's a time and a place we don't get to see enough, and it's a beautiful story in and of itself. So thank you. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to pass the mic back to Susan.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Sheba? Great. Okay. I'm Susan Schiffman, coordinator of the Edmonton Jewish Film Festival. And I just want to thank you both. That was a really great discussion. Mano, now knowing you a little bit better, I understand why the film is so wonderful, because you have these incredible feelings about humanity that come out so strongly in the film. And you understand this complex world so well. One of my favorite things that you said was about anti-poison. You said we get anti-poison from our families. And I think that's so beautiful, that who we are is so much about who raised us and who taught us. And so I'm so happy that you got that anti-poison and shared it with all of us. And I think we're all better people, more thoughtful because of it and because of this movie. So I wish you great luck with the movie. Sheba, thank you. Those were fantastic questions. And it was really just a great way to reflect further on this fantastic film. Just want to thank also our whole audience for being here, and to say we've got lots more coming in the film festival. We've got a film today. In total, we've got 7 feature films and 4 shorts, and we've got 3 more filmmaker discussions coming up. So please join them. Thank you for being here, and thanks again, Manu. That was just wonderful. Good luck with the film, and we'll all help spread the word.
Thank all of you. Thank you.